This program is for informational and educational purposes only. This program is not a solicitation or recommendation for any investment or security. Investments or securities mentioned in this show may or may not be owned by NEPSIS Advisor Services. NEPSIS Advisor Services is an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Welcome to Journeys with Joni. My name is Joni Rametta, and I am here today with my co-host, Mark Clark.
Morning, Joni. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
I'm excited for today's show.
You are?
I am. Where are we going?
Where are we going? We're going on a journey.
Our Journeys with Joni?
Journeys with Joni, yeah. Today, we're going to travel down the road of talking about money. It's an exciting topic, I think, because I think, we talk about investments and we talk about planning and all that kind of stuff. But behind all of that is the money. You know what
my favorite color is?
Green.
Green, because it's the same color as money.
I know.
Okay.
That was a lame joke.
It was terrible. It is my favorite color, not because it's the color of money, but I just like the color. But money's just a tool, right?
I like the color green in my wallet. Not outside the wallet, though.
I know. We have young people in our lives that continue to empty the wallet. So...
I never have any green in my wallet.
Mine ends up being brown and empty. Anyway, money's just a tool, right?
Money is just a tool.
So what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about the uses of money.
So just like a tool, you go into Home Depot, you get all these tools. You know my lovely wife, Tana, and when she sees me going through the house with a tool and she hasn't told me to go hang something, she's getting very nervous because oftentimes my use of the tool doesn't end well.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah, it's...
yeah.
So how we're going to talk about the uses of money.
We're going to talk about the uses of money. But before we do that, listeners can go to www.journeyswithjoni.com. That's Joni. There you can find contact information. Send us an email. Give us a phone call. Stop by the office at 6230 University Parkway. That's at the corner of I-75 and University Parkway. Give us a call at 941-361-1484. We'd love to get to know you. If you have anything that you've heard on the radio before that you'd like to re-listen to one of the shows, you can go to our website and they can actually see those. Yeah,
there's other goodies on the website you can connect to. We have keys to investing, how we manage money. We have a lot of blog pieces for, historical reasons you might want to go back and read. But if anyone wants to talk about that, it's, I had a person come in the office this morning and all they wanted to do was sit down and get to know us a little bit. And there was a great conversation. I think the person walked out very enlightened and very informed. So, no harm, no foul, no cost, no fee. Come on by, sit down, talk with us. Had a great conversation, and, we'll see where it goes. But it's all about trust and relationship and building on that. So feel free to stop by.
Absolutely. Well, so what are the uses of money? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I think there's 5 ways that we can use our money. We use it for lifestyle, taxes, debt, investments, and for giving. So lifestyles, that's like, housing, food, clothing, entertainment, those kind of things. Taxes are what we all have to do. 2 things we have to do in this world is we'll end up dying and we'll pay taxes on our way out. And we pay them throughout our lifetime as well. Then there's debt, which is, payments on loans, credit cards, houses, mortgages, things like that. And then investments, which are your retirement accounts, your real estate, any other investments that you have for your investing in companies, as we like to say. And then your giving, that's your charitable giving to whether charities or to individuals or to your church or anything like that. So we have a finite amount of money that we will possess over our lifetime, and they will fit in one of those 5 buckets.
So basically we're talking about, if I had to put it in the dreaded B word, the word budget, the way we come up with these and the way we determine how we're going to use these tools called money is really budgeting. And we're talking about the 5 uses of money here. And then these, there's only these 5 places that money can go.
Now, if you think about anything that you do, you can usually attach it to one of those topics.
The big question I think people have is, how do you control your money to fit into these 5 components? And I've been talking to some young people over the last couple of weeks. I'm talking people who are out of high school, and I've come to a conclusion that they don't teach this in high school. They don't teach this in places where our young people should know this. And I find oftentimes, even with our older clients, their definition of lifestyle expenses is everything I have left in my paycheck or everything I have left that shows up into my bank account. I can go spend it on my lifestyle. So,
well, I think that goes back to like the debit cards too. I mean,
yes.
that's the newest thing. Your kid has a debit card and they just go, they use it. They don't write it down like, in the old days when we actually wrote a check, you'd write it in your check register and you'd balance your checkbook. I mean, how many people balance checkbooks anymore? Yeah,
it's all done electronically. It reminds me of a joke. Somebody called one day and said the bank account's overdrawn and there's no more money left. And the person responded and said, "What do you mean there's no more money left? I have checks left."
Yeah. Sometimes we do have a lot of checks left after our money's gone.
Yes, we do. But that element is gone because of the debit card and electronic. And I think that's a challenge for the young people. So talking about lifestyle, what would you classify as lifestyle spending, Joni?
That's basically your everyday stuff. That's, your groceries, that's your food, that's your clothing, going to the movies, those kind of things. That's lifestyle. Those are things that you can, and all of that's controllable.
So my electric bill, my cable bill.
That's all lifestyle. That's lifestyle. Living. Lifestyle, I would say, is living.
Okay.
So what are you spending to live on a daily basis? Because, if you only have a certain amount of money to spend and you can only spend it in these 5 categories, basically, then, if you spend more in your lifestyle, you'll spend less in your giving.
I agree.
You can't stretch it. So, a lot of people, as we're talking to people about doing budgets and looking at your finances and stuff and deciding how much money you want to spend and where you want to spend it, if you increase it in one place, you're going to have to decrease it in another.
And I know we're not ready to talk about taxes yet, but taxes is one of the 5 that we frankly have very, very, very little control over to some extent. And
right.
Oftentimes we find that people utilize their lifestyle expenses as what they have left after they've paid their taxes every month. And that's kind of a backwards way of thinking of things.
Oh, absolutely. Because you can make some other choices in other departments, like in your giving, that would actually reduce your taxes.
Mm-hmm. Most people don't think about that, though, do they?
No. And to be honest, we probably didn't think about it either before we started doing planning.
Right.
I mean, this isn't something that I was born with. Trust me, I wasn't born with this because I like to spend money too. But, once you're aware of it, and I think that's what it is. What we want is people to be aware of these different things that you have, and your awareness will then allow you to make decisions. And if you're aware, your decisions will probably be better.
And we can talk more about some of these lifestyle expense decisions. I know we're up against a break here, but we can talk about that and kind of step into the tax implication of that in our next segment. We can pick this up where we're kind of leaving it off here.
Yeah, we can sort of weave in between the 5 different uses of money. So go to journeyswithjoni, JONI.com to get more information and to contact us. Journeys with Joni. We'll be right back.
Do you know what you own and why you own it? Join us for our next workshop to learn about investing with clarity by calling 941-361-1484 to reserve your seat today. Joni and Mark look forward to discussing the philosophy, strategy, flexibility, and transparency, the 4 pillars of investing, with NEPSIS Advisor Services. Call today, 941-361-1484. That's 941-361-1484.
Welcome back to Journeys with Joni. Just before the break, Mark Clark and I were discussing the uses of money and the 5 categories that we have determined that most of our expenses and most of the things that we use money for fit into. And that's lifestyle, taxes, debt, investments, and giving.
And in my case, somebody would say shoes or clothing.
That's lifestyle.
That's lifestyle.
Yeah, that's lifestyle.
Got to remember where to put that spending bucket.
Yeah. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of guests on, Mark. We've talked to Mark Pearson, who manages money for NEPSIS Capital Management, and how he does what he does. But we've also had Bob Collins on from the National Christian Foundation talking about the giving part. So, as we have guests on our show, what we're doing is we're talking to you, the listener, about the different things that you can do with your money. So we have these 5 categories. Mark Pearson fits into the investments little bucket. Bob Collins fits into the giving bucket.
And they all fit into the planning bucket.
All of them fit in the planning bucket.
A couple of things come to mind as we're talking about this, and know the condition of your flocks and being a leader. And this is an element or an area of our life that we've been entrusted with, whatever your resources are. And, we've all heard people talk, if I had $10 million, it'd be much easier to do the planning. Well,
no, it's not. It's actually really hard too.
It is harder. There are more challenges. But if you are faithful in the little things, you'll be rewarded with more things, because it's all measured on how good of a steward you are over what you're entrusted with. So you are entrusted with whatever you have. In if you're a retired person, you are entrusted with the resources that you've accumulated in life, and what are you able to do with those resources in retirement to impact others. Mm-hmm. And then if you're a person that is still employed in earning money, what are you doing to impact others with what you have in the resources that you have in control, or you are being a steward over? And that's really what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And if you don't own the planning, if you don't have a plan and work it, then your money is owning you, and you're going to get what you get because you have no plan. You plan to fail when you fail to plan.
That's right.
And that's a key. You were talking before about the giving component. You kind of stepped into this, and I'd love for you to elaborate on this. People go, I don't have enough money to give, yet the first thing that comes out of your paycheck are taxes. And how can we use giving as an element to, shall I say, take money away from the IRS and still have money left over to have more lifestyle or, do things we want with it? But how does that impact the actual component when we give money away?
Well, usually when you give money away, you're giving it to a not-for-profit organization. You get a tax write-off for those.
Right. And we're allowed to write off the things we put in the bucket at church, or if we do it with a more trackable resource, the church still ends up with the money. We talked about that with Bob Collins.
The donor advised fund. So you can do some of those kind of plannings at the beginning of the year. Actually, you can do it right between January and April when you're doing your taxes for last year. You can sort of look at where you were last year and then sort of, focus on, is your income going to go up or down next year? Mm-hmm. And you sort of have an idea on that kind of stuff. We don't know exactly what everything's going to be, but you sort of have a feeling it's going to be about the same, or I'm expecting a raise, or I'm expecting, to retire or whatever. So you can sort of forecast and plan some of that stuff. So you can actually make contributions to a donor advised fund in the beginning of the year that, is going to affect your taxes next year.
Mm-hmm. The giving element, when I can take money away from, and we're not going to go political here, but if I can take money away from a government entity that probably doesn't do a good stewardship job of spending the money anyway, then I can put it in the hands of a local ministry, a local charity that does good for people that I might be passionate about. I think that is an incredible use of the stewardship that you've been entrusted with.
Oh, I agree. And you know what? We all live in the community, so we all have something that we're passionate about. The cats or the dogs, the kids, the church, the homeless, the hungry. I mean, there's a plethora of choices that we have. So, you can go do those things that you're called to do.
I agree. And it impacts those taxes. What an awesome thing. Another thing that impacts the taxes, and I was having this conversation with a young person just the other day, how do I have an investment bucket? 5 uses: lifestyle, taxes, debt, investments. So this would be a retirement plan, a contribution into a retirement plan. That also takes money away from the tax calculation as well, right, Joni?
Oh, absolutely. So if you're at work, you do a 401k. If your employer offers that comes right out of your paycheck. And, sometimes the employer actually matches it. So, you're getting a double bang there. And if that isn't appropriate or it's not available, then you can open up your own retirement account.
Yeah, you can. And it's a neat thing, because the conversation I was having is the concern of the person I was talking to. Their income, she graduated nursing school, got a job, things are going to go up. She doesn't have deductions, so she needs to create deductions. What do deductions do? They reduce the taxes that you're obligated to pay. All we're talking about here, gang, is utilizing the tax rules to your favor. But putting money into an investment account does 2 things. takes money out of the tax bucket and puts money into your investment long-term savings for retirement. You are now beginning to manage and be a good steward of the resources that you've been entrusted with.
And the sooner that you start to do those kind of things, the better off you'll be in the long term.
All right, so I can hear people that have grandchildren or children that are out there saying, okay, would you guys talk to our young people? We'd be happy to talk to our young people.
Oh, absolutely.
We'd be happy to give you some resources that you can also talk and train your young people. So I know we're coming up on a break here. How do people find us?
Well, you can find us at www.journeyswithjoni, that's JONI.com. You can call us at 941-361-1484, and you can come by the office. We're located at 6230 University Parkway, which is at the corner of I-75 and University Parkway.
And if they come by the office, they can validate all these stories and jokes that I tell, because my lovely wife is working in the office with us, so I can come by and validate things.
Yeah, she'll tell the truth.
She will tell the truth. And we've got workshops that we're working on scheduling.
Yes, we are.
And by visiting our website as we put these workshops together, that's a great place for you to go check and see what topics we're going to be working on and presenting, and when you can come and show up, and that's another way you can come in and visit us.
Absolutely. And the workshops are really a lot of fun because, we have a planned presentation, but we also have a lot of conversation. So, as you say, we sometimes squirrel from where we were originally planning to go because the questions come up that are really awesome questions. And then, we take it down a different road and we answer those questions as well.
Yeah, I have a rule in life. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
Well, we seem to have fun at our office.
We do have fun. People leave and go, man, that was a great time. So I know we're up against a break here. Give them our phone number one time, and let's pick it back up, and we'll talk when we come back about that. We'll finish up on the investments. We'll talk about the debt word.
The debt word. You can reach us at 941-361-1484 or journeyswithjoni.com. Journeys with Joni. We'll be right back.
Do you know what you own and why you own it? Join us for our next workshop to learn about investing with clarity by calling 941-361-1484 to reserve your seat today. Joni and Mark look forward to discussing the philosophy, strategy, flexibility, and transparency, the 4 pillars of investing, with NEPSIS Advisor Services. Call today, 941-361-1484. That's 941-361-1484.
Welcome back to Journeys with Joni. Just before the break, Mark and I.
We'll say, who's Mike?
I don't know. I'll have a brother. I have a brother.
Am I being replaced?
Yeah, you're being replaced. While you were out of town in the last couple of weeks, I took some interviews.
Oh, boy.
Mark and I were talking about debt. We're talking about the uses of money. We're talking about investments.
Yes, we were.
And we sort of were talking about taking some money out of your paycheck, out of the tax bucket, and putting it in the investment bucket by doing like a 401k or an IRA.
401k, IRA, there's a lot of other words for it, SEP IRA, pension plan, all those type of things. But basically what they all are is a qualified bucket, qualified account. And here's the other funny thing. I've heard a lot of people say, I have one of those IRAs at the bank. An IRA or a 401k, that's not the investment. There's another component to the account, and that's the investment. We're not here to talk about that today. We've talked about that in the past, but you have investments inside these accounts, and the goal is that the account grows and it grows tax-free. So you've got a tax deduction for putting $1 in. So if you make $10 a week and you put $1 in your tax-deferred bucket or your qualified bucket, you now, in essence, for tax purposes, only make $9 a week. So you're going to be taxed on $9, not the full $10. So that's a way I would call it disenfranchising the IRS. We're reducing, when we started talking, we were talking about lifestyle expenses, tax expenses, and the investment into a retirement plan reduces that tax bucket, as well as giving will also reduce that tax bucket. We talked about that.
And you can do both, right? I mean, those people who are out there that are looking at their paycheck going, well, I want to save for me, but I want to give to the community too. You can do both. Right.
And that person, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but the person who, I know some personal people like this, and they go, every year I do my taxes, I get back a whole lot of money. That just means the IRS has used your money for 12 to 15 months if you file your taxes,
way too long.
In April. They've had the use of your money for 15 months. when you could have been putting that money into a retirement plan and having it work for you instead of doing no work for you and being misused by the government. So it's a tax rule. These are things you can take advantage of, but we don't because we don't have the knowledge or the ability, or for some reason we just like that return.
Or the awareness. I mean, people don't, I think it's an awareness that you don't understand that when you get a $5,000 or a $500 or $1,000 check back from the IRS, that they were using your money for a whole year, that you could have been using it.
Do the simple math. If you had $600 in a tax refund, that means you could have allocated $50 a month into a retirement vehicle growing and working for you that will impact your savings in retirement. That's being a good steward of your money.
And you know what? If you do that year after year after year after year, years from now, you're going to have a lot of money.
So people want to know how to do that. They need to come see us, right?
They
Joni?
Absolutely have to come see us.
This is what we can help you do.
Yes, we can. Because we have to figure out where your money is, where you're spending it, and how you can do it better. That's the objective. We're all on this journey, and all of our journeys start with the end in mind. I know where I want to end up at the end of my life. I know, conceptually that, I want my kids to have been educated. I want all these different things. I want a house. I want this. I want that. I know where I want to get to. But so you know what the end is, but now you need the path to get there. And if you're on the wrong path, you're not going to end up where you wanted to be. And that would be really sad.
And it would be. And I think you're kind of stepping into the fifth area that we haven't necessarily talked about today, but it's the debt word.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty myself of emotionally wanting something before I can really afford to pay for it.
And I think in this day and age, there's a lot of instant gratification out there.
Well, drive through this, drive through that. Right.
And we've got kids who, I want $500 Nike shoes. I want this, I want that. And having kids of our own, and we have teenagers too, listening to the kids where, they want a job that's going to pay them, a whole bunch of money right now because they have a whole bunch of things they want to buy. You got to start at the bottom. You got to save, you pick up that penny or you pick up that quarter, and then, then it's $1 and then it's $5. And then before long, you've got something and you can afford to buy something. But a lot of people now are making choices to go into debt to buy things that they want. You're paying interest on that debt. And sometimes by the time you're through paying for it, you don't even have it anymore.
You're 100% correct. And in addition to that, you've paid all the interest on the use of someone else's money, and that you're never going to get that back.
No.
And you have literally nothing to show for it. And, mathematically, we can, come see us, come sit down with us, especially if you're getting ready to make a spending decision. And I've sat down with people before who have made decisions to spend money on debt and borrow money to pay for things that they really couldn't afford. And they haven't been giving and they haven't been investing. And what that's going to do in the long run is their lifestyle is going to end up owning them. And the planning that they need to do is not going to have any impact on them in the long term. And they're going to be surprised where they end up because their intentional end or their intentional goal is never going to be reached because they've let that one component in the middle, debt, really have an impact because that interest money is completely gone.
Right. There's only those 5 buckets. You only have lifestyle, taxes, debt, investments, and giving. So if your debt goes higher, that means that your lifestyle's going lower.
Right. And think about it, if you give money away and that dollar makes an impact, that impact goes on for a lifetime of the person you've impacted it.
That's true.
If you've put money into the investment bucket, the interest that you gain on your own money compounds on a lifetime.
Right. And you keep it.
The other 3 areas, the lifestyle, those are things that you talked about earlier that we have to live on. The taxes, we can some way, somehow work the rules to the best use of our favor.
And you still may pay taxes. It's not always bad to pay taxes. It's just I don't want to pay more than I have to pay.
I agree because and why should I pay more than I have to pay? Because I don't know the rules. And then it comes back down to the debt. And the debt is the one thing that's the only one in here that we make a conscious decision to go negative because we need something probably before we're ready to purchase it.
That's true. You said that really well.
I believe that. I mean, that's the core of what we do in planning. And I know we're close to running out of time, Joni, so people should come. We offer the opportunity to come sit down with us. We have workshops we talked about. Give them our information one more time before we get out of here. Come
see us for a complimentary conversation. We'd love to talk to you. You can reach us at 941-361-1484 or visit us at journeywithjoni.com for more information, workshops. Send us an email or even read our quarterly updates.
They're packed full of information. You know, we're passionate about what we do. We don't twist anybody's arm. We're a fee-based registered investment advisor, so we don't have any products to sell. So, you know, come meet us, get the opportunity to kick the tires or kick me, either one.
Just come meet Mark and I. You can meet the rest of the office as well. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. We hope that you learned something good. Journeys with Joni will be back next week. Until then, thanks for listening.
This program is for informational and educational purposes only. This program is not a solicitation or recommendation for any investment or security. Investments or securities mentioned in this show may or may not be owned by NEPSIS Advisor Services. NEPSIS Advisor Services is an SEC registered investment advisor.